Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You are here live with us on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide, and we are so excited that you are here and that we are here to serve you. We thank you so much for just staying with us, and those of you who've been following us on Instagram and checking in on us on YouTube. Some people are checking in on us with Facebook or Meta and X and Twitter, Twitch, and all of these places. Well, Twitter is X, sorry about that, but Twitch and TikTok, those are the ones that I was trying to remember. But all of these places are places where we're showing up, and we are excited. Pretty soon we'll be on LinkedIn, and we're looking forward to when we show up in other spaces like Roku and Prime. That's coming soon, and there are a few other things that are on our radar, but we are excited that those of you who are here with us today are able to be here for our Smarter Start Bootcamp. Yes, it's another Monday, and today we are just going to jump in here and talk to you about some areas that are very, very important to your business. And so as we are just kind of grabbing our slides here, I need to make it so that they can be seen. So give me just a second so that we can do that. But I, want to make sure that you understand that a lot of thought goes into what we provide to you each week. And we actually prepare and are thinking about what our business owners need, but we also are getting information from the business owners so that we will know how to give you, the best possible business education that you can receive in the manner in which we provide it. So sometimes we do courses and classes that are available on our website, and people who are members get access to a lot of that information for free. Some people who are, consistent viewers can have the opportunity to see some of those items, as we are providing it through co-working or through our 5-Minute Finance app or other places where we actually do give away the content. And so that's how some of you are viewing this now. But we want to know, what your needs are. And so when we ask for you to reach out to us, if you have gotten into our database, if you go to our website, redworldwide.org, and fill out the information there so that you can get on our mailing list, so that you can be a part of our nurture cycle. We have an email list where we send every week newsletters and all different types of content to help you with your businesses. We want to make sure that we have your information so that we can, get information from you to know how we can serve you better. That's really important for us. And so when you do give us that, then we come up with topics, okay, that can, help to benefit you in and the broader entrepreneurial community, because a lot of the same questions come up, and as we receive those, we reach out to you in whatever manner, through a newsletter or through a venue like this, so that you can get access to, the information, answers to your questions, solutions to your problems. And so we're going to jump today into an area of being a business owner, creating a company, and creating a product. How do you craft and maintain your entrepreneurial vision? Sometimes things are really easy, and then other times it's not so much. And so we want to talk about how do you, maintain that vision? How do you keep hope? And how do you, grow the vision into what it is that you were intending it to be? That's going to be really important. If you can bring up my slides, please, Javon, I'd appreciate it. And so we can jump in here and really talk to everyone today about crafting and maintaining the entrepreneurial vision. Okay, so This episode is really going to be a crucial one because it connects the vision and strategy. A lot of times, that people who are becoming entrepreneurs, they have a vision, but they don't have strategy. They don't know how to have strategy. And so we're going to translate some things today for you, help you to learn how to translate your dream into these tangible, actionable steps, so that you can build a framework for the growth of your company. And as we're looking at this, I want you to really understand this one statement. This is my statement, but I need you to understand it. Vision without strategy is hallucination. I mean, when you've got, a vision, but you don't have the strategy in place to get you to that destination where you're trying to grow, okay, your business, then it is really it's a hallucination. You're not able to really make things happen because it's not a tangible thing that you're seeing. So I want you to dream big. Dreaming big is amazingly important when you're becoming an entrepreneur, when you are learning how to create a company. Having a strong vision, it provides you a compass. It's a landscape, but it's a compass. You know where north and south and east and west are, so that you can guide the business toward the goals that you have. But you also have to have strategic action coupled with that big dream. When you have the roadmap, which is what strategy is, it translates the vision into steps that you can perceive and take. They are actionable. And so this is very, very important. So you got to dream big, you got to have strategic action, and then you want to grow and scale the company. A well-defined strategy allows your business to thrive and expand. You can grow it and you can scale it when you have those two things in place, the big dream and the strategic action. So let's look at what it means to define the business goals and objectives. How can you actually make them what they're supposed to be? Well, you need a mission statement. You got to be able to clearly articulate your purpose and what you aim to achieve. Okay. And so that is going to be huge, when you are looking at the concept of creating a business, and when you are looking at the concept of growing your business. Sometimes the mission statement expands to encompass other things that you are now doing. I never will forget when our company, Red Worldwide, initially started. Our mission statement was really, really simple, and we actually had just this blanket statement of what we were going to do for our business community. However, a year in, we were doing business and doing it well to help people take their ideas, and make them, implementable. Create these implementation plans and make them something that they could actually start and run right then. And we were helping them to do that to the best of our ability. However, we realized that there were some other things that we could provide. And as we had the funding to do so, we had to expand our mission statement so that the purpose that we were articulating actually matched what we were doing. There are many people who never go back to expand their mission statement. They just continue to do that. And I would say this. One of the things that we did to make sure people knew that we had expanded the mission statement and not abandoned our initial mission was that we talked about the fact that our expanding of this mission is to assist businesses in this way, and we said it so many different ways that, our stakeholders understood it, funders understood it, the business owners we were serving understood it, the team that we were working with understood it, the volunteers understood it, because it was everything that we had dreamed and hoped, to provide, that we were already pushing forward. And we needed to make sure that we had different ways of saying it so that it fit our community's um, uh, plans, but also made it so that everyone was on board. And I would say this to you, that when you have a mission statement that clearly articulates your purpose, it makes it easy for the people you are working with to serve, because they now know what you are doing, what the company is supposed to be doing, what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. And so having these specific objectives that actually breaks the mission into these measurable goals, sometimes people might know them as SMART goals, goals that are specific, measurable, and I want to, really, really talk about this. And what I guess what really made me jump here was that, I was working on a grant yesterday for a client. And as this particular grant, was being pushed forth by a city in Maryland. And they were asking, for you, the person who was doing the grant writing, to write a business plan. Most of the time, there's an application process, and the application process will, really speak to every area of what the grant is about, and tell you what they want you to tell them. But they left it very open for a person to just share the vision and what they're going to do with the money and all of that. And so that was really interesting because, it gave me a lot of room. And so I was thinking about the specific and measurable aspect of the goals. How do I make sure that they understand that, not just what the goal is, but what our outcomes are that we're going to expect, and how we plan to measure this, and is this going to be an achievable scenario? And how do I show or demonstrate that it would be achievable, right? And, so when we start talking about the concept of having a SMART goal and what it means for a person who is in a position that they have a company and their company is new, but they want to actually bring something to market, how do you translate that to people that may not really um, know anything about your industry? And so you've got to make sure that when you are telling people, hey, this is my goal, that, again, you're clearly defining what you want to accomplish. That's the specific part, but you're able to show the criteria, how you're going to measure the progress that you're going to have. And then that you actually are ensuring that the goal is realistic. When we talk about it being achievable, we want to make sure that we don't have these lofty goals that, really, although they might be something that is a nice to have, there is just impossible for you to be able to really do it with your resources and in your current state. So being able to talk about doing it in the time frame is going to be important. So when you have, the resources and the constraints, on you, you want to make sure that you have an achievable goal that is something that you can relate to others, and they will be able to understand what your plans are and how they can help. And then you want to make sure it's relevant, that it aligns with your broader objectives. I know there are a lot of people that they go after getting bids or grants or even sponsorships and donations when they're a nonprofit, and to do things that are not even a part of their purpose, the company's mission, or for that matter, the larger plans that they might be even talking about doing in the future. And then you got to make sure that the goals are time bound, that they are, that there's a timeline that provides some focus, and that you are motivated to make the progress necessary towards completion. And so having these particular specific objectives in place that are measurable will really, really, really help you. And then, of course, those KPIs, the key performance indicators, where you can track the progress, that those outcome indicators that I talked about. These are the things that really, help people to see not just what you said you were going to do, the how you said you were going to do it, and how they know that it was done. Okay, to the degree that it was done. I mean, these are market you know, indicators, a lot of times data driven indicators, indicators that actually show real outcomes. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how do we develop a dynamic strategic framework, because we know if we talked about the fact that vision without strategy is hallucination. So if you're going to develop a dynamic strategic framework, there's got to be four things in place. And the first thing is you really need to do a market analysis. You need to understand the industry, your competitors, the target audience. I know people who have great vision, and they will come to me and say, I want to do X, but they do not want to put any energy behind a market analysis. They are like, well, it doesn't matter what everybody else in the market is doing. It only matters what I want to do. And I can get how they can feel that way because they're passionate about what they're wanting to get done. However, okay, it's very important that you know how many people are already providing the service that you want to provide in your neighborhood, at least, okay? Or for that matter, if you are serving, over the internet, you need to know how many people are already serving in the world in that to your neighborhood, okay? Because there are some people that may be providing the same service that you're providing, and they may be in Africa or they may be in China. You need to be aware of that. And there's a way for you to get that industry data so that you will be able to have an understanding. It doesn't change what you're doing as much as it changed how you might do it, or when you might do it, or for that matter, to whom you might provide the services, because you might be able to niche down, and I've talked about niching down before, but actually getting into a position where you're serving a specific part of that community. And that makes you more valuable because you concentrate and specialize and not generalize on that part of the industry. And so understanding your competitors and how they do business gives you the ability to have a competitive edge, because now you can choose what you're going to do when, and to whom you're going to do it with, and how you're going to do it. Okay. And understanding the target audience is going to be essential, because here's the thing: there might be little phases that you are able to put forth where you may start serving one set of the target audience in your very early stages. And as you're growing, you might add other particular parts of the community, but you need to understand it. You got to know what those target audiences are really made of, what their pain points are. We've talked about doing empathy mapping and, having a tool that helps you to understand the pain points of the audience so that you can have the solution that they require. And when we are looking at this market analysis, you're drawing that information out before you ever start to provide the service. But if you find yourself in a situation where you've already started the business, you're just, going, headlong into this thing, and you realize, hey, I didn't do some of those initial steps. And now because of that, I'm finding out some different things that I just did not know. I'm not making as much money, or I'm wasting money, or I'm not, actually able to get the proper market share that I think I should have based on the work that I'm putting in. All of those things may very well be the case. And so what your responsibility now might be is to go back and retarget the audience. Look at, how you can serve them better, what specific things you can offer that will be essential for their growth. Okay. And for, to help them with the solutions that they need. All right. And then as you're creating your competitive advantage, you've done a whole session on the unique value proposition that you might be able to offer, and how the advantage that you may have, is something that could make people choose you over others. So when you identify what sets your business apart and how you leverage those strengths, that is what sets in place that competitive advantage and what causes you to become the business again that others will choose over, what else is available. And then of course you want to be able to know what the resource allocation needs to be. And you can strategically allocate your resources sources to support your goals and your objectives when you have more data. The more knowledge you have about what you're doing and to whom you're or for whom you're doing it, and how you can provide the service, alongside of whatever else is going on in the industry, how you may be able to upend some things and show up as the premier source for those services or products, that is going to give you the information necessary so you can allocate your resources in alignment with, the information that you have collected and what your mission is. Now you can look and say, well, I only need to allocate X amount of dollars, or I only need to have certain amount of people resources, or we can do all of this with technology in a very small team based on the information that we have about the industry and what the advantage is that we have over other people who are providing the services. And then lastly, the implementation plan. This is huge because you've got to be able to develop those actionable steps in a plan, outlining them and showing what's needed, so that you can achieve the goal. When you have the ability to state that in a way that people clearly understand what they do, what you do, what others do, how it all fits together so that your customers can be served, then your implementation program will come off without a hitch. Okay. So how can you align the vision with the actionable steps? Okay, because remember, we want to get out of hallucination. Okay, we want to be in a position where everything is working the way it's supposed to. So there is a way for you to align, with the actionable steps, and it's we have a three-pronged process here. And what it is the first thing is you want to be able to have strategic alignment. Okay, you're ensuring that all of the actions and the initiatives contribute to the overall vision. And you can do that, in a very succinct way. I mean, just a checklist, or some sort of tool that you put together, a rubric that helps you to understand what the actions are, okay, what the initiatives that they're associated with are, and how they contribute to the vision. And when you have that in place, then it makes it such that you can, now have a clearer way of seeing, what you're going to do and prioritizing, okay, what you're doing. Okay. So when you prioritize, you're going to focus on the key initiatives. I mean, you looked at all of the actions and all of the initiatives. Now you're going to see where your focus is going to be on the key initiatives that drive the most significant impact, what those things are. And then what you want to do is look at how you monitor the performance. Regularly track the progress and adjust your plan as needed. It's very important that when you are doing what you're doing, you don't end up in a situation where you don't know where you are. Okay, so you've got to track, because when you track, you actually have the ability to have some informative feedback. Okay, just from the data that you have, and now you can adjust. You can make the necessary room in your plan for things that you didn't necessarily see, okay, before. And so this is really important that you use these three steps: the strategic alignment, the prioritization, and the performance monitoring, as you're aligning the vision with your steps. All right. So how can you make it so that everybody on the team is all on board? How do you foster a culture of innovation and adaptability? And we have talked about culture a lot. We talked about the importance of culture and creating, what it is that you want for your organization. We've talked about, having, things in place, but we want to know what are just three key things within the guise of what we're talking about today, crafting and maintaining your entrepreneurial vision, what are 3 things you can do today, okay, that will help you foster the culture of innovation and adaptability that you need for the team that's going to work around you or work with you, or, I should say that's going to surround you. It could be that you're working with contractors, you might have employees, or you might just have vendors. You might be a lone ranger that just has tech and a few people that you use for making referrals and orders and things of that nature. And it doesn't matter what the size of your team is. What matters is that you foster the culture you want so that everyone you work with can fall in line. So the first thing is, be prepared to embrace change. You've got to be able to adapt to new challenges and opportunity. And when you embrace change, what it does for others who are around you is it helps them to understand the importance of them doing it as well. Then you want to, of course, have the continuous improvement. We talk about CI a lot, and so I'm going to talk about it again today, because if you're not a lifelong learner, if you're not a person that's constantly improving your position in the company, your own personal drivers, so that you can be your best self, be your best version of yourself. If you're not the person who is consciously fostering that culture of experimentation and learning and discovery, and employing strategy, through what you've learned, then what happens is a culture of innovation and adaptability is not going to be a reality for your company. You have to be on a CI plan. And then, of course, you have to be able to become empowered. This is very important. Encouraging creativity and innovation within your team is important, but you have to be empowered before you can empower someone else. And so sometimes we don't feel empowered because we've never been in the position of a leader before, or this is the first time we've ever run a business, or there are lots of reasons. Sometimes those old tapes from what has happened to you in your past and maybe even in your family will cause you to not feel empowered. But empowerment is very, very, very important. And we want to be able to, understand the concept of how empowerment can be modeled. While you're being empowered, you're empowering others, and you're teaching your team how to empower those that they're working with as well. Okay, so how do you measure and evaluate your strategic process and your progress? Okay, what is it that you do? Well, let's take a look at, some areas. Our first metric is our customer acquisition cost. We just have a three things that we're measuring so that you can see what it looks like to be able to measure, okay? Because measuring sometimes is a little bit of a challenge for people that don't do it often. I've been in a position where I was a strategic planner before. I've been a business strategist for a long time, and so and a navigator to help other people in their businesses, virtual CFO, for several companies. And so having that experience has given me, a lot to work with. And then of course, because I did, do some schooling, I had a little bit more to add. But I didn't start that way. When I started my very first company, I was at the same place where a lot of you are, and measuring and evaluating strategic progress and the process itself was not something that I was that familiar with. And so when I'm giving you these little bitty examples, it's to help you understand, how you can begin to measure. So the first thing is the CAC, or what we call the CAC, the customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost me to actually get a new customer? All right. So the target is what I say that I want to be able to spend only $50 to get a new client. And my actual, I only spent $45. So then I had a percentage of deviation of a negative 10%. What that means to me is that I saved money because my budget for acquiring a new customer was $50, but it only took me $45 to actually make the sale. okay, and close the deal. So I was able to have a negative 10%, which put money back in the budget for the next time around. Now let's look at another one, customer lifetime value. And so that's the CLTV. We've talked about CLTV and we talked about the formula for CLTV in a previous episode. We talked about how we're going to actually spend an entire episode on customer lifetime value, and we'll do the formula right there in front of you so you can see what that means. And so when we're looking at this, we want to look at, again, what was our target? Okay. What was it that we were trying to do? Let me see if I can get that back up. There we go. Our target for keeping a customer was $1,000. Okay. And the actual cost was $1,200. And that meant that we deviated by 20% to, it cost us 20% more to really create the customer lifetime value that we were looking at. Now, for some people, customer lifetime value could be just recurring purchases from your, current customers that you have. For other people who may have, like we do, a membership community, we're looking at the churn rate. How many people stay with us year over year? And what did it cost us to get those customers and keep those customers? So when I'm talking about a customer lifetime value, what could be involved in mine could be $1,000 or it could be $10,000, depending on the type of customers and how long they're going to stay with the company and what type of services they're purchasing from us. For some people who have recurring and not necessarily reoccurring revenue, their customer lifetime value may be a little bit more because they're wanting to keep the subscribers, keep the members, whatever that means to them. And as a result, they really don't want to deviate too much to the positive or, in other words, their actual costs are more than what the target is too often. They don't want to do that. They want to make sure they can stay within their target budget or that they can increase their budget year over year by, just enough to make sure that they still are staying into a level of profitability for having members. There at some point you have some negative processes that go into play, when you are adding too many services this is your people who are having recurring revenue. When you're adding too much and you're not in a position where the company is making enough to cover those costs, even though it might be that these customers are staying with you 20 years, what is it costing you to keep them for 20 years? So you want to make sure that the numbers work, that you're able to add enough value without adding so much, to your target budget to keep the customers. Because if you can do that, then what is happening is you're growing your profit, okay, without creating the conundrum of it costing so much for you to retain the customer. And then let's look at another one, website traffic. Your target's 10,000, but your actual was 12,000. Okay. So in this particular case, you maybe you ended up in a situation where it cost you no money whatsoever because all you did was put up a new website and with the same exact information that you had on it before, but you moved things around that made it easier for people to find. And as a result of that, more people came. You added SEO, search engine optimization to your site, and it made it so that people, could find you easier. And you put a few extra little perks in places, call to actions, maybe some giveaways, and now you have traffic and people are telling other people about your site and they're going there to get free stuff or to get more information about whatever it is that you do or whatever your industry is doing. And it created for you a deviation of 20%. But again, it was something that was positive and not negative in terms of how it affected your budget. Okay. All right. So what do we take away from this? Well, how do you scale your business with a sound strategic plan. And I have 4 things for you to take away from this today. Okay. And the first thing is, as we said, you want to have a clear vision. When you have a well-defined vision that has your mission statement in there, that has a way for people to understand, what it is that you're going to provide and when, that the objectives or your SMART goals are attached, and you are operating things where people can see the key performance indicators or the specific outcome indicators that you are going to, have, so that they can know what to expect and how you're going to measure that expected result. Then, of course, this is going to help you with the crafting of that and maintaining of that entrepreneurial vision. When you have a strong team behind you, building a capable group of people, or even I call my tech a part of my team. So I have good tech, good team, and it gives me the opportunity to provide services to people in a way that is, helpful, and that keeps them coming back or referring others. Now, when you can build a team that's capable of executing the strategy that you put in place, then you're doing a great job. And so go back to what I said. Okay, sometimes you may be working with contractors, sometimes you may be working with employees, sometimes you may be working with volunteers, sometimes you may be working with just good tech and you and your vendors. But whatever that is, you have to recognize that all of that makes up your team. And even if your team is small, you need to make sure that the team and the tech is capable of executing the strategies that you are putting in place. Okay. And then you want to have these scalable processes, because those are very, very important. When you are able to have efficient processes, that if you added 5 more, 10 more, 15 more, 20 more, 100 more clients, it will not matter, because you have processes that allows you to scale at the level of every one of those steps, these what we call them, these phases that you're going through. So having the scalable processes balances out your efficiency, and it gives you the ability to handle the increasing demand. And then lastly, you want to have some financial management in place, ensuring that adequate funding for the expansion is possible. A lot of people, they expand, but they don't necessarily consider the resources that are needed to make that expansion happen, and to have it not affect your clients in a negative way. You want to make sure that you are able to either run a lean company where you can utilize the funds that you are saving, like what we talked about a few minutes ago, when your acquisition cost may go down, okay, you could use those funds in another area, to make sure that you have adequate funding, for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Because when you have a vision, your vision is going to grow. It's never going to be that you are doing the same thing the same way forever. And because as your clientele grows, then you need to expand to accommodate what it is that you're providing. As the industry grows, as things change technology wise, there are things that you may have to do differently. So when you're able to have a lean operation, when you're able to move funds around and use them differently, when it costs you less to do more, those are all ways that it makes it, so that your company can be around for the long haul, providing the services, and the products that your clients and customers need and desire. And so with that said, we are at the end of today's presentation, but I want to make sure that you do understand that crafting and maintaining your vision is very important. And remember that you've got to align strategy and vision, because vision without strategy is hallucination, and that's not where we want to be as entrepreneurs. We want to be able to have a vision that's clear and a strategy that can be executed. Well, this has been Dr. Patience Jackson Rose with Co-working Live from Red Worldwide, and we'll see you again next time.